Hey everybody, this is Dominic DeAngelo of WrestleZone.com. Today's date is December 17th, ticking on down from 2020 to 2021. I'm happy to have with me here today none other than Kevin Ku, who is one half of Violence is Forever with Dom Garrini of MLW. Kev, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic. I really appreciate this. It's funny because when I was younger and I was just starting to watch a lot of wrestling and I was allowed on the internet and stuff, WrestleZone was one of the first websites that I went to for stuff like that.
How about it, man? Yeah, dude, I'm in the same boat because I remember being 15 and it's 1999 to 2000, and I one of the sites, it was I can't remember, maybe Pro Wrestling or Wrestling.com or some shit, and then it was WrestleZone. So and never would I have fathomed I'd be writing for them and doing all this. So it's kind of been a weird 2.5 years at this point. So yeah, man,
no, it's a full circle thing.
Yeah, right. It's full circle coming around. So. But no, let's start with you debuted last week on Fusion as we record this,
right?
And you and Dom together as Violence is Forever. I know you've known Dom for ever, but talk about how it felt getting into that MLW Major League Wrestling environment that Dom's been a part of with Team Filthy, but now you got introduced over the course of Pulp Fusion and everything like that. So talk about the experience of coming from Fusion, not having wrestling in regards to this, to where you debuted just this past couple weeks ago.
And it was a long process. So I got signed originally back in late February, early March, and then my first show was supposed to be the April show in Chicago or something like that, and then obviously that couldn't happen, and we were just waiting around to see what our next dates were, what was going to happen. So I really commend Court and the entire MLW team, because they were really just focused on us in mind, how to keep us the most safe and where we could do it the safest. So I didn't it sucked to wait that long, because it was 7 months before I actually got to wrestle for MLW.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate him just looking out for our safety, because it's there's just so much going on that you don't know what to do or how to navigate it, really. So you just got to try your best. But to actually get to wrestle with Dom, because it's I had some reservations about whether or not I wanted to sign with a company or anything like that, because I come from the world of punk and DIY, where I'm oh, I should do everything by myself. But it's Dom and Tom had a lot of really good conversations with me that this would be a very good fit for me, and I'm really glad that I did, because man, just watching MLW and the process of it, and then all the talent they have, it's just I think it's one of the best places to be right now. And it's just it was such a cool experience to finally, it sucked that there weren't fans there, but really I didn't super miss it, because we had such a good locker room going and just a good dynamic, and I had one of my best friends there with Dom. So it was just really cool to finally show the world what we've been doing on the independent scene for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think something that really speaks to MLW is that dynamic that the whole promotion has in regards to not only the way talent works with one another, but in regards to how the product is executed and conveyed across to people. Because it's a lot of people, mainstream wrestling has been, very, muddy in a lot of ways in regards to when it comes to how it's presented, what they're trying to convey to people. And you're getting a lot of wink, wink, nod, nod stuff. And you're not getting that in MLW. It's flows, but everything makes sense. You find people you like, you find people you don't like, very distinguishable, and it's got that very rebellious kind of vibe to it too. Did that kind of appeal to you in a way, even though it was a company?
Yeah, for sure. It was just a lot of people say they're the last outlaws of pro wrestling and stuff like that, but the way that MLW does it, I really think that they are, because it's it's more focused on the combat aspect of it, obviously. So it's that's the type of style that I really enjoy. So it's not a bunch of hokey bullshit that just gets lost in the shuffle, where it's just all right, well, we'll have this person do some fucking conga line or something like that. We'll forget about it. It's who cares? But I'm really like, I feel like MLW invests in every single person that's on the roster, and that's so refreshing and nice. And I said this the other day that it's like watching like a Fusion right now. It's like they're one of the few companies that are doing this type of no fans taping that, and I haven't missed there not being fans there, because it's just like the product is so good, and just like the whole ambiance of it is so nice that it doesn't feel awkward.
Yeah, not at all. And like the smoky environment atmosphere that goes with it too,
Mhm.
it's like really cultivates like that fight kind of vibe to it. Like
Yeah.
which I dig, man. And it's like, and we get these past, I think it's like we're on 4 episodes now, or maybe 3, I can't remember, but it's like everything just moves seamlessly, even from like when that was the gap of when MLW was in Tijuana to
Mhm.
now. It just like boom, picks right back up. You can, if you're a new fan, you can just invest right into it. So yeah, it's fun to cover and very fun to watch. So
Yeah,
uh,
dude, for sure.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, just talk about your background with Dom and like how you guys kind of became friends and met on the independent scene, and how your careers maybe came apart. Because I think Dom, I remember him telling me in the previous interview, I was like, oh, did you travel with Kev a lot or on the road with him? He's like, not so much, but like we met certain different ways and kind of things like that. So talk about that a little bit.
So like really we've only been friends for like 3 years by at this point now. And we've known each other like through like mutual friends and stuff like that. And we actually talked to this about him the other day. We met at this one like charity promotion that we both did in Indiana. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
like Indianapolis or somewhere like that. Uh, and we just like, hit it off because we had a lot of similar interests. So we, we did our singles thing. And then we just kind of realized that there was like such a big gap in like not only in the independents, but like everywhere for like actual tag teams that like wanted to do full-time traveling as a tag team, just like everything as a tag team. So we were like, we'll give it a shot. And realistically, neither one of us had to do that because we were both doing pretty well for where we were in our careers as singles people. But like, we kind of just put all our chips in on the tag team wrestling. And I don't regret it for a second, because I think like we've only been tagging for 2 years now,
That's
which
it.
is
Yeah.
great to think about. And we're already like on MLW and featured there, which is super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so yeah, like we honestly, we didn't, he lives in Cleveland and I live in Nashville. So it's like whenever we have bookings together, we have to like coordinate with each other, like how where, if we're going to meet somewhere in the middle, or we just meet there. And then like, yeah, but it's so like, that's another thing. Like, it's really nice to like be actual friends with them, because we have very similar thinking styles as far as like personal life and wrestling goes.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's easy. We don't have to train together all the time to just like be together in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, no, I'm sure like a lot of that, like, friendship outside of the ring really helps with the action in the ring and working together in the ring too.
Especially if we end up like, because he'll meet me in Nashville, and like we will go to a show together. Like we did one drive that was like 8 hours, and it was like on my birthday. So
Uh-huh.
like came in early and we hung out, and then we drove to the show. So like we didn't like, obviously, we'll like get on each other's nerves like any regular human would.
Sure. Yeah. That just
Like,
happens.
it's not like I don't hate being in the car with the guy, so it's like
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah. No, from a personal perspective, where do you guys really vibe at, would you say?
I mean, honestly, like the big like together fact that we have is Disney and just like theme parks in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like it's something that we both realize that we are very like much stoked on. Like his dad actually helped build Rock and Roller Coaster, like when it
What?
was first being built. So like we went there not too long ago. And we had to ride it because I was just, and like I'm not a big fan of that roller coaster, but I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But it's just like we'll always send each other like Disney vlogs or like memes or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I mean, we at one point we thought about making theme park enthusiast shirts, but we
Mhm.
just, it never manifested in our brains. But like, yeah, that's a very big factor between us, that we love Disney and just like theme parks in general.
Now, like from a like you do a lot of design work, don't you?
I do. Well, I really started picking up once the pandemic happened, just because like I was so bored, man. I had to do something.
Right, man? Holy shit.
So yeah, I actually I do like a lot of our like t-shirts on the independents, and then I'll do some stuff for like other wrestlers when they ask me. But yeah, that's been kind of like my saving grace for my brain.
Now, do you do it? Have you just done a lot of like? I know you said T-shirts and stuff, but you do a lot of like hobby work. Say if you have some downtime, you're like, yeah, I kind of feel like fucking around on graphic design stuff. Like you,
Yeah, so like I bought some classes online and I learned that stuff. So I picked up some Photoshop stuff, and then I try to learn like video editing, but man, that really hurt my brain. There's just like way too much that goes into it, and I don't have enough patience right now for that. So I was just like, all right, let's keep on Photoshop and Illustrator, and then
one thing at a time. Exactly.
yeah, dude.
Exactly.
And actually, another funny thing that I picked up on while I was bored, I just like once like Home Depot and stuff like that opened up, I just went on YouTube and learned how to build lightsabers.
What?
Like just like it's super easy to do and it's super cheap. Like I built one for like $50 and just like add a PVC pipe and then like different couplings and stuff, and then I just spray painted it. So like I did that for a while.
Nice, dude. That's a market too. If you ever get into it, like there, because I remember being at like a couple conventions and people would sell like legit light up lightsabers.
Yeah, dude.
And they
Sell
were
like
like going for like I want to say like $200 or something. Some of that, like if you went all out with them, it
yeah.
was insane.
I've thought about it, but it's just like to buy the metal ones, I have to buy more power tools, which I don't feel like doing. So I
Yeah,
literally just like I had like a little saw at home that I was able to do it with, and then like a sanding for with a Dremel tool, and I was just like, okay, this is enough for now.
yeah, man, totally. When it comes to, you were saying too, like how you were kind of apprehensive to join like a wrestling company in general. What when you thought about your career as a whole, not just in the ring, but like just how are you going to balance life? Did you have a game plan in your head if that was the route you're going to take, and be like, I'm doing the independent route, I'm going to do this thing, but I'm also going to cultivate or try to do other things as well? Was there a kind of a balance you had in mind or a game plan, or was it like I'm
You know,
taking it as it goes and kind of thing like that?
I would love to say that I plan out my life at all, but I really don't. Like I'm very much a go with the flow type of guy, and I just like will go with what feels right at the time.
Hmm.
So I knew that I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I started like rather late. Like I started when I was 25 and I'm 32 now.
Uh-huh.
But it was just like it was an opportunity thing. Like I used to tour with bands and stuff. So it was slowing down from there, and then I just had an opportunity to start training and just go from there. And I fell in love with it completely. So it was just like I don't really plan stuff out too much, which kind of sounds bad because it's
That's
probably
not
really
that
bad
bad.
though. I probably should plan out more of my life then, but like it was never a thing in my brain where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get signed to like the big leagues. I'm gonna make tons of money. I'm gonna be rich and famous off wrestling. It was just like I really, really enjoy pro wrestling and watching pro wrestling, and I wanted to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a huge step too, because so many people like have that in their mind, like they want to do it, but taking that leap and actually doing it is a whole nother story of like, boom, getting in
Yeah,
the mode of that. Yeah.
it's funny because I talk to like a lot of my older friends from like hometown and stuff like that, and they'll tell me that it's like really cool that I'm living out my dream, and like I never really put that in perspective, where it's just like a lot of people don't do that, where it's like they will do what is comfortable for them, and obviously wrestling is a super uncomfortable thing to do because like especially on the independents, you just like you work other jobs and then you go to wrestling on the weekend, so it's just like your body's beat up and you're mentally tired, but it's like in that like little time frame that you're in the ring, it's just like the most euphoric experience ever. And like I try to explain it to people, but I truly can never put it into words like what the feeling is to actually be in a wrestling ring and just like have people captivated to you. Like it's
Yeah.
so cool.
It's got to be a one of a kind feeling, because you're not only mixing like sport with theatrics and presentation, but you also have a live audience, typically.
Yeah.
But but then the element of like just personas and everything like that mixing, plus your own self, who you are. It's not like you're portraying a character and stuff. It's a lot of ultimately what you want wrestling to be is an elevated perception of yourself. So
Right. And
it's like,
it's kind of funny because like when you first start wrestling, obviously like people will try to like help you out with like different gimmicks and stuff like that. But it's like, and then you obviously will try different stuff to see if it works, but it really never is you, until, I mean, for me, it didn't start till like me and Dom started tagging really, where I really found out like who I am and to project that out into the wrestling world. So it's just like, I was just kind of like, wading through the wrestling world. So it took me a little bit longer than a lot of people, but like, that's just how it happens for some people.
that's how it goes. Yeah, yeah. Who would you say were some big inspirations for you, like being a wrestling fan and going into it? Whether that's an actual like wrestlers from the past or current, or just influences outside of wrestling too.
I mean, for like, the big leagues, obviously like Stone Cold and The Rock were big things because like I grew up watching wrestling during the Attitude Era, so like they
Yeah.
were very big. But once I started really watching like independence and stuff like that, like Bryan Danielson was like one of the first ones I really latched onto because like he just made it so real and raw and just like, so I love the technical aspect of wrestling. So I just immediately latched onto him. And then once I started like going to more and more shows, I really like discovered people like Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong and people like that. So it's just like I just those are like the big people that I really watched, with a keen wrestler's eye, like, oh, what do they do? Like, how do they do things? But like fan wise, I obviously just, love the people who are just big shit talkers.
Right, dude. That's the best thing that draws me to it. I think any should draw anybody to wrestling, and the casual fans. You see that with a lot of the time too, because if I'm talking to somebody at work or just somebody on the street that like talk about wrestling, they'll be like, "Oh man, like I fucking love like Stone Cold, or I love
Yeah.
somebody that can talk, like whoever it may be, like The Rock or whoever." And it's just like those are the ones that people talk about immediately. They don't. If you get really into it, you'll get more into the aspect of like the ring work and everything. Holy shit! Like you see what those guys did or whatever.
Right.
But yeah,
And,
yeah,
and it's cool because it's more like people are more appreciative of ring work now. We're like casual fans. Like I'll show like one of my friends who literally knows nothing about wrestling, like an MLW show or something else, and they're like, holy shit, like how are they doing any of this stuff? I'm like, it's really hard, but they make it look super easy.
yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And like that's what's cool too. I like MLW finds that balance of showing that athleticism and having it all make sense too and come together. And yeah. Talk about from you and Dom tagging together. Do you pick and choose a lot of stuff do you get inspirations from other tag teams and stuff like that
For sure.
from work? Yeah.
Honestly, like one of our biggest influences as a tag team is Red Dragon,
Yeah.
by Kyle O'Reilly. Like that specific duo, is like they're one of our tops. Like we will watch their matches and just like send each other notes and stuff like that all the time because it's like they were one of the first like tag teams to come from the independents that would like go on to win pretty much every single major title available, like, and Kyle O'Reilly himself, he's just a wild mastermind in pro wrestling and combat arts. So they're definitely one that we watched a lot and just kind of like patterned a lot of our stuff after.
Yeah.
And like, it's super cool to work with George Carroll. Like he had a big hand in Red Dragon's like, wrestling career. So it's just like we get to work with him now, and that's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. And I loved your guys' finisher too. When did you like the brainbuster super kick thing? It's badass. Like, where did you guys come up with that? And who like?
It's funny because that was Red Dragon's finisher on the Indies.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like, Dom has a pretty gross brainbuster. I throw a lot of kicks, so it's just like, why not try it out?
Mix
And like,
it on.
we have like a couple of different things that we'll do like on the indies and stuff like that. Like we like to give winks and nods to tag teams of the past. So we'll use a variation of total elimination because like the eliminators are awesome.
Dude, I love the eliminators.
With that thing.
Shit.
There's one move called the lost finish where it's a back body drop into a pile driver that we'll do sometimes. That's another big one. And then we'll do like Dom does a pile driver and I'll do a punt kicks where it's just like, we have a couple of different stuff in our bag, but it's just like what will best fit that specific match.
Yeah, yeah, man. Oh, dude, like it's a good balance, and like you can definitely even in that like brief match that you guys had for that first one, the chemistry was there already. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
That's
very
something
well.
we really pride ourselves on, just like our chemistry with each other, just as people in general. Like me, Dom, and even Tom. Like I haven't known Tom for like, only a year or something like that. But it's just like I feel like I've known him for like, you know, 10 years plus.
Yeah. Well, immediately too in that Pulp Fusion segment that aired before your guys' match, I
Mhm.
saw like I already know who Tom is as a person, like persona, and I know Dom, but like then you presented yourself too, and like you had this more kind of a laid back, but like you got more into like when you saw the work in the ring, it was like boom, kicking the shit out of people.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
very much like in my personal life, I'm very much a chill person. And when people see me in the wrestling ring, they're like, "Oh, what's going on here? That's not you here." I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I know how to I know how to flip that switch really easy, and it's just like I'm a jokester, outside of the ring or like really calm, but like once I'm in the ring, I know it's time to get to work.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, dude. And like finding that balance too, you when you get that once I think the ultimate thing is once you you kind of find that vibe of like knowing who you are, but being able to convey that in the ring too at some point too. Once you get that groove, and I bet it's a really good feeling to have that at.
It really is. You feel like you've really clicked with something in your brain. So it's just like, oh man, I feel really good about this.
Yeah.
And I'll like find myself saying that during a match sometimes where I'm like, oh man, this is going well. Like I feel good about this right
You know
now.
what? This is pretty good. Well, let's go with this too. I wanted to ask, from being like in the independents and getting that start, did you find? I kind of almost figured like how knowing like just being in different situations, whether it was like me starting off college or me going to a new work environment, and I'm sure this is with anybody, but how did it feel like kind of just trying to maybe, quote for lack of a better word, like fit in? Like when you got there, was it kind of like nerve wracking for a while till you kind of found your footing amongst like different like colleagues and stuff, or how did that kind of all gel to you, or did you kind of seem to fit right in for the most part?
Honestly, like I was a super introverted and weird person. I still
We
am.
all kind of are.
Yeah. And like I'm introverted to an extent, but wrestling has definitely opened me up to not being because I have to be.
Hmm.
But when I first started going to shows, man, like I would just sit in the corner and just like watch the show and just like not really talk to a lot of people because I didn't have a lot of friends in wrestling. So like it really took me up until like honestly like 3 or 4 years ago where I just really started feeling comfortable in like different locker rooms or just in like any show in general. So it's just like it's nice because I can at least find an acquaintance in any locker room I go to. So it's like I can kind of talk to him for a little bit, but I'm still the person that's just like kind of watching the whole show because I just like wrestling.
Yeah, dude, that's what's neat about it too. Like, and I saw that too. I was in at Philly for the MLW show, and like seeing that dynamic of the locker room, like just being invested in watching what was going on in the action, and like all kind of learning experience too. It's
Yeah, I
like,
think that's the cool thing. Like everyone at MLW really loves pro wrestling, so like everyone is just watching.
yeah, yeah. And it feels like ultimately like wrestling obviously to an extent is like you want to build your star power, but like as a company with MLW it really seems like it's a whole movement kind of thing. I get that vibe big time with them.
Definitely. I mean, like obviously, there's people we don't really vibe with, Von Erichs and stuff like that. But as a whole, like we all want MLW to succeed
Yeah.
because like, we really believe in the product, and that's the reason why we're there. You know, who wants like I honestly can't think of anyone who's at MLW who like just is trotting around, doesn't want to fucking be there. So, and if they are, I'm just like, why are you here, dude?
Yeah,
Like, what are
or
you
they're
doing?
not going to last long. That's yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Hmm.
life's too short to do stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's cool what you mentioned too about like having beef with the Von Erichs and stuff like that. Is you see it and like Team Filthy, hell, like you guys as a faction, like there's these like fight teams you have pretty much happening where it's like people put, and that's that relates a lot to real life too, where it's like people assimilate to their groups and find their mesh. So I think having that being a part of a huge dynamic in there in MLW is something too. A lot. It really speaks.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Like especially with the new company, where it's just like it's a different type of product than I'm used to, obviously, because it's like it's a televised thing. So like I can't do, whatever I want there. Like it's still like a very, very much of a chilled, laid back vibe. Like everyone is super cool. We get to show ourselves who we are in the wrestling ring. It's not like super micromanaged, but it's like, obviously there's some stuff we have to be careful about. But
Yeah.
it's like it helps a lot that I was brought in with two friends. So I don't feel like I'm on the outs.
You're right. Yeah, yeah. You definitely got some people in your corner, like literally and figuratively.
I got some killers.
Yeah, you got some killers backing you up. um, I want to, before I get to the final segment, I wanted to ask you about your tattoos and stuff like that. When did you get your first tattoo, and which ones really hold the most significance to you?
I got my first tattoo when I was 18, like shortly after my 18th birthday. And I always said I would never get them because my sister had got a horrible tribal tattoo when she was 18. And I always looked at it. She's 6 years older than me. I was like, you look real dumb. I'm never doing that. And then I just like started going to like more punk shows and hanging out with people who are tattooed. Like, yeah, whatever. So I got the entire bottom of my leg tattooed first. And then I've just consistently been getting tattooed since I was 18. One that holds most significance to me, there's this band called Jawbreaker. They're one of my favorite bands.
I think I've heard of them before.
Yeah, so I have a Jawbreaker tattoo. So I'd say that's probably like the one that holds the most significant to me because they're my favorite band, and I just wanted to get a tattoo for them.
Yeah. Well, hell, what a fucking segue we got then. Because
Yeah.
closing out, as I told you, like I've been doing like this wrestling playlist I've been trying to cultivate, curate for the turn of the year here coming up. And what I have each interviewee do is pick 3 songs. Now it can be ones that you currently are listening to when you're like training or working out or whatever, but it could be all-time ones that you want. So
Okay.
pick 3 songs that you would add to a playlist.
First one, Jawbreaker, Accident Prone, and
All right.
realistically, just listen to the whole Dear You record. I'm just gonna lump that into one. Second is kind of newish. There's this band called Spanish Love Songs. They put out a record called Brave Faces Everyone, and there is a song called Losers on there that is very, very good, and I listen to it a lot. And then another one that just like is always super nostalgic to me and always hits home is this hardcore band called Bane, and they have a song called Can We Start Again?
All right. Dude, I'm getting a mix. As I told you, Tom picked some wild ones. So
He did. Honestly, like if he didn't pick what he picked, I probably would have picked one of those.
yeah, there you go. Now I got to get Dom. I have to get Dom on here and try to get him to.
Oh yeah, he has. I've kind of like assimilated him into my music taste since we started hanging out a lot. So he might bust out some stuff that I would say.
Yeah. Now, have you guys gone to a lot of shows together and stuff like that? Like
we've literally never been to a show together.
What? Really?
Well, it's just like anytime.
I guess Nashville, Cleveland.
Yeah, anytime there's been a couple of bands that like he's really enjoyed, and they've been playing in Cleveland like a day after I left. So it's just like I couldn't make it happen, and then like. It's hard to go to show. It was hard to go to shows even because we would always be booked on weekends. So it's just like, when are we gonna have time for this? And then if it was during the week, he couldn't come down here, and I couldn't go up there, just like on a dime,
Yeah. If you had to pick one show to go to, what one would you?
Oh, you know what? I lied to you completely.
Yeah, you found one. You got one.
We did Fest last year, and we both got to see Jawbreaker. And
nice.
He's really into Jawbreaker now. So like, when they asked us like, hey, what band do you really want to see so we can, try to make it to where you wrestle and you can see them, and we're both like Jawbreaker 100%. So like that's the only show we've been to. So like that was super cool.
Dude, that's good times, man. I tell you what, like the going to those shows, I love a band called the Menzingers.
Oh man, okay, so that was one I would have picked too.
Yeah,
Spanish Love Songs are very much Menzinger-esque.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah,
dude, love that whole album, Hello Exile, right now. I think it like speaks to this whole year essentially.
Yeah. Hey, so the tour they did for that, they came to Nashville, and I'm friends with people in Tiger Jaw and stuff, so I went to go see them.
Yeah.
It was so good, man. Like I've never seen them live, Menzingers live, and they weren't good. Like they're just powerhouses. It's
Oh
crazy.
my god, dude. Yeah, dude. I've seen them I think like 4 times. At like at least 3 times in Philly, and then I saw them once here in Pittsburgh. And oh my gosh, dude, it's they're badass. It's like it's crazy how I was introduced to him too. A buddy introduced me, and then I just got hooked from the Impossible Passes where I started, and then I got hooked on everything.
Man, yeah, like from there, like they didn't write, like I like their earlier two like EPs or whatever.
Yeah.
But from Impossible Pass on, like they didn't write a bad song or a record in my opinion. Like it's just a constant loop of good shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think the bass player is a big wrestling fan too.
I think you might be right. You might be right. I know there's the band I think they opened for the Gaslight Anthem. Yeah, they opened for the Gaslight Anthem once, and a lot of the band members there are big wrestling fans. So
Oh wow.
yeah. So
Super small world. Like I always equate like being in bands to being a pro wrestler. Like
I bet it's super easy to do too. Like I don't know shit about like playing anything or anything like that, but like to be on stage and to have that presence, there's a lot of like connections to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Super.
Yeah, dude. So cool. Anything you want to plug else, going on?
Watch MLW on YouTube, Fubo Sports, The Zone. I mean, wherever you can
Pluto
find
TV,
it.
I know.
Yeah, there you go. Like there's a lot of different avenues to watch MLW. Like you're gonna see a lot of me, Dom, and Tom on there. So, get used to it.
Tom said too that this is his favorite iteration of Team Filthy. So I'm
Really
looking at how it's going. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna message him right now and tell him and say that you said that.
Yeah, you let him know.
Tom, I heard that you like me the most, dude. What's up?
I heard I'm the best member right now. What do you think of that?
Listen, he had a cookie man before me, so like
Yeah.
I had big shoes to fill, and
Dude,
now I'm just like
Eric Stevens, man, I love following him on Twitter and stuff. The shit he puts on there, damn, that cookies and stuff.
He can single-handedly ruin every single wrestler's diet. One cookie.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna buy them because they're fucking delicious. Oh, that man.
He posted, I'm like, how the hell did he make that? And that looks amazing.
Yeah. When he put a Christmas tree cake, which is my favorite Christmas treat, inside a cookie, I'm like, why have you done this to me? What are you doing, dude? I'm trying to like get in better shape. Like, stop this.
Why? Dude, he's great. He's great, man. Well, Kev, thanks for joining me. What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is KevinXQ. That's KU, and my Instagram is the same thing. So it's easy to find.
Heck yeah, man. All right, guys, this is Dominic DeAngelo from WrestleZone. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic DeAngelo, and you can go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. We've been doing it for, I guess, 20 years about this time.
Long time.
Right? Can't keep track too long, but all right. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thank you.